Hello and welcome. Today, I want to go through a few ways that I think are sort of unorthodox, but beneficial if you are looking for book recommendations. Sometimes going online and trying to find books is challenging, especially when lists are pumped out from LLMs that then generate hallucinated results that are books that don't exist. So these are some ways that sort of without the intervention of modern technology, you might be able to find some good book recommendations. The first one took place in 2022, October. I was driving down the road. It was a freeway in southern Illinois, and I was going a little bit faster than the speed limit. And naturally, the lights come on, whoop, whoop. And well, actually, what happened is I was going a little bit over the speed limit and the cop's lights were already on in front of me. And I figured if the cop has someone pulled over, they're not going to be able to get me for speeding. And, well, actually they will. They'll get back in their car and then chase you down and pull you over. And then they'll issue you a speeding ticket and begin to look through your vehicle and find in your trunk a load of books that you were hauling from Washington to Virginia. Now, I'm not going to say why I was hauling so many books, but these cops were not kind to the books. It was very clear that they probably weren't well versed being around them because of how they handled it. I really don't like when the spines of my books get damaged or destroyed and stuff. I like to be able to display it proudly. So it kind of made me uncomfortable from the back of the cop car watching them just kind of toss it around lackadaisically. But after they had finished looking through and found, literature, they came back to the back of the car and asked me, what are all those books for? And, that was the best book recommendation I ever got. If you want to experience a world of adventure, and one where you don't have to conscribe yourself to artificial laws and then enforce them and have people go faster than the speed limit while you're pulling someone over on a traffic stop, where in reality, no one's on the road, so what's it even matter as long as I'm being safe? Oh, well, you're not being safe if you're driving next to the cop. The first recommendation is read more. If you walk around a book and you look unfamiliar, that is... I may have been in the back of the police car, but I felt bad for him. I was really embarrassed on his behalf. The second way, now this kind of does need a little bit of internet, but you can host a Dark Souls woke extravaganza and then slide into the DMs of one of the participants, find out they're in a happy marriage, and then ask them to open that marriage and become friends with your YouTube friend until you become friends also with his wife, who is also a friend of the basket. So then we're all like one happy family, not in an open marriage sense. They make it very clear that I am not a member of their marriage. It's, but then becoming friends with her and joining a book club, bada boom, something to read. And the recommendation I have there is probably not Brandon Sanderson. Not for me, as someone who comes from a background with like non-traditional values sort of at the forefront and ideas that aren't necessarily like representative of like the, I guess, American family or like the white picket fence idealism, I find it challenging to read a book from the perspective of someone who is sort of like advocating for that, because especially for myself, I don't necessarily see that. But again, you have to read these books and engage with ideas independent of whether or not you agree with them, because these are the ideas that are shaping our culture. Whether or not I like Brandon Sanderson's work doesn't change whether or not his work is pivotal in the world of literature. And I think it's interesting to try and understand what exactly it is about the work that does appeal, that doesn't necessarily appeal to me. There's an artistic approach to be taken. And what it boils down to is Brandon Sanderson has a different worldviews. That's all there is. Anyway, so number 2 is join a book club. And then number 3, a few weeks ago, I went to an improv sort of like open mic jam. So they let us get up on stage and play with like the improv people of the troupe. And it was super fun, had a wonderful time. And I met a lady there who was awesome. She mentioned that she knew how to juggle. Well, in all the excitement, I forgot to bring up, hey, there's a movie that I know of where juggling was like a big plot point. And so I wait, knowing that there's a show that Saturday, I was like, oh, okay, I'll just probably see her there. If she's going to the open mic on this night, then she, you know. And when I get there, someone walks in that looks exactly like her. And I think to myself, oh, gee whiz, you know, like, I don't know if this is the same person. And so I go, hey, Violet. And the person says, nope, I'm her twin sister. And at first I thought it was a joke. It had to be. We're at the improv, you know. This is definitely funny business. As someone who is employed in the funny business, I recognize it when I see it. But it wasn't funny business. I made friends with this person. Her name's Zen. And she actually was a published author. So method 3 of getting good book recommendations is to go to improv open mics and then meet the twin sister of someone who you met at the open mic and discover their books and read their work. And I mean, it works out really well because also, even though she wasn't the one who mentioned juggling, she also happened to juggle. And so I was still able to bring up Mirror Mask and we were able to talk about it and have a good time. And it's actually really interesting because the friendship her and I have sort of developed over the past few months has been incredible. But her book, The Length of Years, was riveting. I believe it's free on Amazon Kindle because it's part of a trilogy, so the first book is free. I'll try to find a link to leave in the description. But easy day. You just go and meet someone who already wrote the book, and then boom, new recommendation. Anyway, maybe someday I'll get into sort of like how I read books and stuff. I'd love to be able to like do a chapter or so from like a manga I enjoy, or maybe like reviews or something. I know that's something on YouTube. But for now, I just wanted to share a few ways that I've found recommendations for books in my own life. And I hope that it brings you the same sort of freedom and sense of adventure and escape from a lot of the things that are happening in the world now. Because it's important that we don't spend all of our time reacting to things we can't control. And when you read a book and you let go of the real world to sort of like experience the world through the eyes of someone else, it allows you to sort of learn new ways to cope with the issues you might be dealing with in your life. And it provides a good sense of like entertainment. So I'm a big fan of reading. I think, honestly, everyone should read more. And yeah, thank you so much for letting me share. It's been awesome, and I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.